Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about psychology. Well, not really, but sort of. I don't have a degree. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is a video I have been wanting to do for a while now. And this portion of said video, this is actually going to end up being a series because there is just too much content to do in one video unless we're gonna be here for 2 hours. I am not about that life. I know a couple of you have said, yeah, you could do a 3-hour video and you'd watch it. Thank you so much for that, because I don't think I could stand listening to myself talk for 2 hours. I have previously done a series on my channel discussing my personal journey, interaction, dealings with having a shopping addiction. In said videos and in other videos, I had mentioned wanting to do a closer, more in-depth analytical look at discussing the question of, is modern day marketing and modern day consumerism psychological warfare? Spoiler alert, it is. And so today we are just gonna go into sort of a overview, kind of like I did with my shopping addiction series, where we started out and we just kind of breached some of the subjects, did an overview, the Cliff Notes version of certain things that lead into the reasoning behind why it is psychological warfare. Then later in the series, as I do more research, which I will need to do, as I get more research, as I get more facts, we're gonna have links to things and all kinds of stuff like that. I'm gonna get all kinds of up in this. We will delve more into figures and examples and, really concrete evidence as to why it is psychological warfare, as compared to sort of just my overview thoughts and experiences and opinions on what I've seen. In order to criticize consumerism and consumeristic tendencies, you have to first come to the realization that you are in and of yourself a consumer of some sort. So today we're just gonna do a little dip on into this. I do have all kinds of notes. Because when it comes to these videos, I never want to be too stream of conscious. I like to have points that I do, burp squad, that I like to reach that give the video a good amount of flow. So why don't you just buckle on in, get all your anti-consumeristic jollies on, and we're going to talk about just the tip of the iceberg with why marketing and modern day consumerism are psychological warfare. I didn't think about it, but using that terminology, is that shit's gonna get me demonetized? There are a lot of things that I wrote down here that I may read statements off and then go into more in-depth discussion. It is obvious and sort of, I don't want to say important because it's obvious, but obviously, at least in this community as well as other communities and simply around us everywhere, we are surrounded by consumerism, excessive consumerism. Unless you pretty much completely disconnect from the internet and then go build yourself a log cabin, be like Alone, The Mountain Men, all those TV shows on History Channel. Unless you're going out into a cabin in the woods like that shiz, you kind of can't escape from it. No matter where you go, whether you're on your phone, you're on TV, you're out and about, basically, no matter where you position yourself in this world specifically, although I don't have a degree, I don't have whatever, but this country, you are surrounded by and constantly bombarded with the incessant need to consume. We no longer purchase products as a means solely to better our lives, but rather as a means to sort of improve our own self-image, which is in turn then an image that is perpetuated by the very society that is shilling these products to us. It goes very, very hand in hand that the image of the American dream is interwoven with that need or that conception that purchasing things, acquiring things, and owning things are paramount to that American dream. Having fast cars, having a big old house, having a lot of disposable income, being able to go out to eat, being able to get your nails did, being able to get your hair did, all these intricate, honestly, non-necessary things that are seen in today's society as a need, as a must, rather than a luxury. That is what is considered the pinnacle of living. We have literally become brainwashed by a society that is consumed with the idea of useless necessities. In an essence, we've become our own walking cities, purchasing, using, and then discarding everything in our path. We are our own little teeny tiny, or not so tiny, ecosystems within our existence. The way we consume and what is purchased through us, and then how we respond and react to it, like for example, we're talking about leaving green whatevers and everything like that. You buy something, you've purchased it, and then what happens when you're done with it? So that whole consumeristic side on a whole, that's its own little thing, its own little ecosystem. Although I don't have any sort of degree or any sort of whatever, I am going to be doing more in-depth, deeper research for the videos following this, but to my own personal whatevers, I feel as though looking on past marketing, looking on past advertising, there was a sense of, here's a picture of a razor. This is what the razor does. This is how much it is. Boom. And products were invented also as a means to improve our lives, take the conditions that we were living in and make them better. When the consumeristic market began blooming across our country, products were invented as a means for creating a superior existence. We wanted to live better lives with more conveniences to make everything easier. An ease-filled livelihood was in essence the new American dream. And so you can even sort of see that kind of shift between it was just like, okay, here's a problem. Here's something, or whether it was a problem, talking about razors, whatever, guys. But here's a problem, and here is a solution to said problem. You can purchase this, you can make your life easier, and then somewhere quite, down the road, it turned into less of, here's a problem. It's more of a, how can we just make everything as easy as possible? And while convenience is good, there are so many things that I advocate for that make my day-to-day life a crap ton easier. God bless the person, the people who invented the washing machine and the dryer, although there is nothing line-dried clothes. But God bless those people that I don't gotta be out there beating my clothing on a rock in order to wash it. So you think about those sort of things, electricity, things that are very, I hesitate to say basic, but these things that very clearly have a positive effect on one's life, livelihood, and existence. And there were so many things. We had cars that got us faster, refrigeration, obviously we're cutting down on that whole, we got spoiled food, but we eat it and then we die. These very obvious advancements that helped add to this growing level of quality of life. And so, as we go on and we do that sort of thing, along the way, the emphasis it shifted. It wasn't so much about providing products or even providing products that were essential to creating a better quality of life, but it was rather taking those products that we created, whether they were important or valued or necessary in any way, and less about providing them and, creating them, and more on how we marketed them. It was a lot less about what you sold, and it turned into more how you sold it and how much you sold. Obviously, there are so many blinking layers of economy that I do not know. Economics is a whole nother game that is very integrated into this. We will get more in depth into more things and affects and stuff like that in future videos, and I understand I will be the first person to just lay out my ignorance on some things, which is why this video is more of an overview rather than it is in-depth diving into certain specific topics that later videos will be. In the beginning, we bought things to live. We bought things that helped us live. Okay, we get the washing machine, it helps us wash. We get the oven. I mean, oven has been around for gonna sound real stupid sometimes. But we buy these things as a means to make our lives easier and better in very fundamental ways. And now it's become more of a less we buy things to live and more of a we live to buy things. Not because we need them, but because somewhere along the way, somehow in the great vast evolution of mankind, of differing economies, we've somehow equated the acquiring and the possession of these unnecessary things as happiness. I go into a lot more depth in this sort of thing in my shopping addiction videos. I will leave those down below, but I am a perfect example of the sort of consumer modern day marketing once. I used to joke that I was the perfect consumer in the sense of I consumed too much, I consumed constantly, and I always, that's what they want. In that video I talk about, they don't want someone who's savvy with their financials. They don't want someone who makes smart, less purchases. They want someone who's gonna blindly walk around, hand out their credit cards and buy something every other second because that is what benefits them. And it was this sort of thing, this development from, I've learned a lot about myself in recent years. Y'all have seen a lot of my transformation. And so it's that whole idea of being able to detach yourself from that consumerism that really consumes you and look at your behaviors and see the problematic energies and the problematic tactics that are used by these companies that is perpetuated by a society that makes you feel like you always need to buy things. And there are so many different varying levels of this. And there are levels of it that are made to seem, I don't want to say chill, that are made to seem either normal or they are downplaying the actual excessiveness of what they are compelling you to do. I mean, how many times we got that YOLO trend, you only live once. If you want to have it now, just get it. I can't tell you how many times I've been walking around, I'm like, well, treat yourself. But rather than an occasional, I don't typically get this for myself, or an occasional, yeah, I only live once, I guess I'll, do this once. We've created an existence of treating ourselves, an existence of YOLO. Every day is YOLO. Every day is treat yourself. Because the consumerism and the marketing doesn't actually want you to reach the point where you feel satisfied. It doesn't actually want you to cure the problem that they're saying you have. They don't want you to reach a level of contentment with yourself or your situation, because a large majority of the marketing is based on the simple emphasis of you will achieve this, you will look like this, you will be this, your life will be affected by this particular purchase, which pulls on that psychology of if you buy this thing, you will feel better. But it's never just that one thing. The company isn't like, okay, well, you're going to buy this and this is going to be the end all be all. That's it. You ain't going to got to buy no shiz for the rest of your life. No, instead, it is this dichotomy of constantly creating new things that are going to be the next thing that fulfills you. And there's so much more intricacies woven into varying different aspects of consumerism. Clothing, it's great. You got the new hot whatever, what for the new season. Well, guess what? there's another season in a month and a half that's going to have that new hot what. We all in the beauty community are very familiar with all those new makeup releases. We have reached this point where, with a cumulation of all of these different things, between the subliminal messaging, or honestly the downright just confrontation of modern marketing, we have developed into a society that lives a life that is a life spent that is lived through spending money. And shopping can be exhilarating. Y'all know that your girl is someone who likes to go out and spend the monies. I have a large accumulation of things that, as I am dealing with moving, every day becomes a bigger and bigger headache. And when it comes to marketing, these sort of places, we think of malls, we think of stores, we think of these nice, brightly beautiful, happy-filled places. They are specifically and strategically manufactured in a way to fuel you towards spending more money. We've got bright lighting or dim lighting, depending on the aesthetic of the store. There's music, there's bright typography, there's just all these different things bombarding and invading your senses that psychologically train you to think that you need to spend more, and that encourage you to spend money. It's kind of very similar to the whole affect of, you're waving a red flag in front of a bull. You see those triggers, and those are the things that set you off. I can promise you, if I'm in a store and one of my songs comes on, like a bopping tune comes on that I know and love, I'm like 110% more likely to buy some, and probably buy more than I need to. And all of these things going on in together work together to boost that happy drug, that wonderful happy sensation we get, which then in essence creates a pattern of behavior. Whereas in order to release those chemicals, we need to put and insert ourselves back into that environment that made us feel that way, purchasing more things or putting ourselves in the situation where buying something is very likely. We are repeating a process that makes us feel good, even though those feelings of happiness or euphoria or that manic high are very short-lived. I can't tell you how many times I've done that whole, and we joke about it, and that's a whole nother aspect of this problem. But you buy something online and you got that, ooh, what's up? I got that thing, it's gonna be great. And then while you're waiting for that thing after that high phase, we gotta buy something else to get. It's a never-ending cycle. Whenever we enter into those sort of situations, and one thing that I've been needing to learn about myself is not putting myself into those situations, because they are curated. Obviously, one of the base, it's a business. It's meant to make money. Yes, a business is meant to make money, but the business of marketing nowadays is to make people spend too much money, to constantly live above their means. The whole idea of keeping up with the Joneses or living beyond your means, it's a reality. It's an accepted part of being in this country, existing. It's just a hallmark of being alive, that you are constantly encouraged to go above what you can actually spend, because spending that money and what you're acquiring is what's going to give you happiness, rather than making smart choices, saving your money and investing. The society we live in is very get it quick. You want to get that hit, you want to go get it fast, get it quick, we want it now. The whole concept of instant gratification in this country is huge, and it delves deeply rooted into consumerism and marketing. And marketing on a whole has become a much more deeper, more intense, dare I say, savage sort of thing. And on a certain level, it's even personal, because marketing is this thing. It is supposed to appeal. It is supposed to reach certain demographics. It is supposed to evoke a particular type of response from you that in turn makes you want to, for whatever reason, purchase this product, spend your money here, invest in this. That is what it is meant to do. Make, for whatever reason, this particular thing we're trying to shill appealing to you. Or not even necessarily appealing, something that you need, something that if you do not have, you're missing out, you're incomplete, you're not going to be happy. This product will give you something that you don't already have. And that delves more even into just the idea of having a physical product, because if I've said it once, I'll say it again. There is nothing your girl likes more than collecting useless pieces of plastic she doesn't need. It goes into the mentality of this product will give you something that you don't already have in sense of confidence, in sense of beauty, in sense of status. It isn't selling the physical thing. It's selling who and what you will be if you have that thing. What livelihood, what lifestyle, what sort of image you want to project to the world and society will be obtained through consuming, using this kind of shampoo, consuming, Starbucks, shopping here. Or, there are all these different interwoven status symbols that have become evocative of the sort of society that we exist in and how we evaluate and value a person's individual existence in this world. And an important thing is that marketing is incessant. It is everywhere. It will not stop. It's not gonna stop. There isn't a day that goes by that you get some kind of email. Hey, they even send text messages now. And it's so pervasive and it's so bombarding, it's the type of thing. I do YouTube videos, right? I'll go to something and I'll go to link it and then I'll get an email that's like, hey, we saw you looking at that. You should come buy it. I don't shop at Dolls Kill anymore. I need to unsubscribe from the whateverness, but I went to go link something because I was wearing something from there and I can't tell you how many text messages I got and how many emails. I was like, ooh, it's on sale now. Ooh, your stuff is selling out. Ooh, come get this. And all I did was link it. I did, this whole level of how pervasive, how involved, how just constant and how intense all of these little marketing things, which then come to form this giant, larger, huge, monstrous picture of what consumerism and modern marketing want to turn your life into. And like things with like the whole emails, if you think about all the constant different types of consumerism and marketing, like I can't tell you, like I got here, it's all just like, detailing current sales or shilling new releases, seasonal sales, holiday sales, friends and family sales, staying at home because of a pandemic sales. There is always a sale happening, and even though they're trying to tell you that this one is the only sale that you're ever going to get that's going to be quite like this, there's gonna be another one. The one really important, pervasive thing that I see just on the tip of the iceberg, just on the top of this whole thing here that can be seen, is the whole concept that marketing has turned from, here's a product, this is what it does, buy it, to here's a product, this is what it can do, this is what your life will be with it, this is what your life will be without it, buy it, but then buy this and this and this, and if you don't, your existence is somehow going to be worse or inferior to the other people who have purchased it. Every sort of consumable product is thrown at us from every single angle, from clothing to food to shoes to travel. Anything that is targeted at us is done in such a way to fill the unrest within us that has been created, like I said, by the very society that wants to see us consume at an unrepairable, unsustainable rate. It all just sort of cumulates together from the always eating out, to the always getting Starbucks, to having the newest clothes, the nicest thing. There isn't any sort of emphasis on being able to achieve the same level of happiness, maybe at a lower price point, maybe from some other thing. It has to be derived from this false sense of luxury, even. This is a very big problem on YouTube with a lot of larger people. And I'm not saying if you have the money, don't spend it on the things you want to. But part of the problem is the marketing that is done to normalize the idea behind that having luxury goods such as designer handbags or designer clothes or having a huge house or 4 cars, 12-car garage, a purebred animal, all these things that are made to seem normal and that are made to seem that they make your life better inherently just by possessing them. They will fill some sort of void within you that we have instilled in you through our marketing that attacks your very base insecurities. The exposure to damaging imagery is something that has existed for a very long time, but imagery is very provoking. It is something that elicits an immediate response, whether it's a sign that says 75% off in big yellow, white, red, and black writing, or if it's an image of a particular attracting looking person wearing a specific item of clothing that you're like, well, they look bomb friggin' diggity in that. I think I need to have that. You have supermodels leaning on cars. You have rich people wearing nice wallets. It goes down even deeper to you have a Kardashian sucking on a weight loss lollipop. All these varying and intricate layers of marketing and consumerism and all these things that just come together that create and paint this picture, a sort of idea of consume or be consumed. Either be consumed by the other people who are going out there and buying all the things that society makes you think you should, or be consumed by that inner sense of self-worthlessness because you don't have these things, which is a total lie and a total psychological tool used and weaponized by marketing. I feel like it is not too much of a stretch of the imagination or too much of a stretch to say that a large portion of our lives is controlled, or however much we allow ourselves to be controlled, we will at least say influenced by modern day marketing, simply based on the fact of how much is out there and how often we see it. There is a huge amount of psychology behind subliminal messaging, behind all the little neurons in our brain and all the chemicals and all the synapses and all the things that happen when we see, read, hear, smell, touch, taste, all these things. And all of these things are being expertly executed and used by companies, by people, by everything that is done to make us spend money or to purchase a specific thing. Some are better than others, some are sneakier, some have more money to invest. I mean, it goes down to the very basics of when you think of life insurance or insurance of any kind, you think of a TV commercial and it's like, all right, whose jingle or whose in-commercial character is more prevalent in our minds, from Jake from State Farm to Flo from Progressive. Now, marketing like that sort of situation and marketing on a whole, I would like to think isn't solely pervasive, and all of it isn't bad, because marketing is marketing. I'm sure for those of y'all who have business degrees and marketing degrees, there's so much more into it other than just like, buy, 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 buy. Not all of it is subjective to being psychological warfare, though I feel the majority of marketing does lend itself to a certain sense of overall brainwashing, simply because how it is crafted for creating those responses from us and sort of creating those neuron tunnels and pathways that, you know, when we think of that, when we think of, oh, what kind of insurance do we want to get? We think, I want to buy it from Flo because she's cool. You know, there are less offensive layers to marketing aside from the ones that I'm going to be diving into, and deeply discussing in the continuation of this video. I mean, other videos. Y'all know what I mean. This is something that I'm very passionate about, perhaps because I've been very much consumed and very much controlled by modern day marketing. I allowed myself to be sucked up into the idea of, I will be a better person if I own these things. My self-esteem is only as good as the things that I own. And it's something that I still struggle with today. And it's something that I think isn't talked about. And especially when being a YouTuber, being on this platform, witnessing creators on this platform, consumerism is pretty much like glorified. Like, we're not even talking like normalized, like glorified to the heavens. And considering the fact of how many people are on this platform, from young to old, all races, all whatevers, it's important to realize and to dissect and sort of consider the fact that it isn't normal. Yeah, it's normal for Jeffree Star to have a Lambo because he has the money for it. You know, it's normal for Emma Chamberlain to be whatever with Louis Vuitton, but it's not normal for their young, impressionable, or even their, you know, middle-aged and old impressionable people to assume that happiness is equated with purchasing things and normalcy is achieved through having luxury things, the amount you have and what you have. There are going to be so many different layers that I'm going to research and study and bring for you all. Like I said, this is just a base start. I hope it made any kind of sense. I typically don't know until I go into edit and I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, that flowed all right. I am very excited to do my research for these videos. If y'all have experienced or, you know, have things you want me to talk about, I have my business email down below. You know, send me your experiences, send me things that you see, you know, send me research, send me articles you think, you know, let's all come together and sort of bust down this whole normalcy of spending to the point of destroying your life is okay. Obviously, because I don't have a degree, because this video doesn't have research or whatever in it, this is currently very opinion-based. I am discussing a lot of things through the lens of my experience, from being a over-glorified shopper, consumer, being someone who wants to be more conscious of what they want to purchase. And it goes very, very far beyond just being like, well, I purchase sustainably clothing, whatever. I do cruelty-free. There are so many more elements to wanting to be a good consumer that go beyond just what you consume. I think this is going to be a very eye-opening and a fun continuation of my experience and my development as a consumer. I would love to hear thoughts and opinions and expressions. These sort of videos are something that truly give me a sense of joy, a sense of fulfillment when I do them. This sort of in-depth content really gets me going. I love talking about pretty makeup and all that jazz. But I also like holding to task the very same industries that supply me with said makeup, you know? You can be a part of the whatever, but that doesn't mean you don't get to criticize it and look at it a bit more analytically. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. I hope to see you in the continuation of this series. And as always, keep it real. Mwah.